darlings. I'm Brian, and you're watching The Brian Darling Show. I have a very interesting guest today, darlings. We're going to talk all about the L word. And there's a lot of L words, but to find out what L word we're talking about today, I'm going to bring on my guest, and her name is Barb Elgin. Hi, Barb.
It's good to see you, Brian. It's great to be here.
Okay, so Barb, you want to tell us what the L word is?
I'm good. You know, it's funny. As soon as you said that, I thought, oh no, the weight of the world, the pressure on me to define the L word, because it's impossible in a way. And some people don't even want to use it anymore. You know, there's a whole group. They don't want to even have that L next to their name. But if you are proud and you wear the L word, there are a diverse number of different types of little baby L's within that. How's that?
Okay, so society, mainstream society, is kind of familiar, and they're okay with gay. And that kind of encompasses so many different flavors of people. I like the word flavor because it really does encompass quite a large demographic. But the L word we're talking about today, darlings, is lesbian. Now let's say it 3 times. Lesbian, lesbian, lesbian. See? It just sort of rolls off your tongue.
Oh, it's such tongue exercise too, isn't it? Lesbian.
You know, I have a lot of lesbian friends, and I realize I don't really know a lot about what makes a lesbian tick. So, Barb, on today's show, that's some of the stuff that I want to talk about. Let's break down some barriers and, you know, try to come together as gay men and gay women in this community. There's all this stuff going on. There's equality that's sweeping the nation. We're getting all these new rights. But it seems to me in Los Angeles that gay women sort of kind of are over here and gay men are over here, and there's, you know, there's sometimes not a lot of interaction. Why do you think that is?
I know, even in LA, it makes me wonder about San Francisco and New York, right? You know, you guys are supposed to be the standard bearers of no boundaries, but there you go. So I feel better now because we're all alike deep down. You know, when we talk about all the things that could tear us apart, what do we share together? And under that LGBT, which is the most popular acronym I hear, you know, that everyone uses now, we're all in this together. And even though we just we're looking at the L's and the G's today, right? We're not even talking about anybody else, which, oh gosh, we could go on and on about B's and T's, and that's another show, I bet. But
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, by the way, I saw in my internet travels yesterday that it has now been, believe it or not, 10 years since L Word premiered.
Really?
Yeah,
well, now we have Orange is the New Black, you know, Modern Family. We've got all these, you know, all these shows, but that's probably one of the first mainstream shows that really focused on lesbians, right?
It was, and I think a lot of people feel like we're mainstreaming. But all these great mainstream shows now are integrating us into their shows and their lives, as opposed to we had to start with a show that was just about lesbians.
Well, you know, we've got Here Media and Logo, and there actually are some mainstream media is really embracing the gay community for many reasons. Number one, we've got a lot of disposable income. Mm-hmm. Let's face it, we go on vacations, we spend a lot of money. Many of us don't have children, although that's changing rapidly.
We have. You said something really interesting, Brian. Disposable income. Now, I had a telesummit recently, and I purposely chose a woman for my telesummit who totally has been looking into that thing. Is that really true? That we have all this disposable income? She wrote a couple books already about it. That we aren't as well off as we think. We wanted to really talk about, well, why is this tension in our communities between the men and the women? You know, maybe it's because we're men and women first, not because of our sexuality, because I know we have a lot in common. I have to say it's probably about money, some of it, and socioeconomic differences.
Barb, tell us a little bit about you and your background and your expertise and what you've been doing, and let's kind of frame that a little bit so our viewers can really get a perspective of where you're coming from. Now, you work with lesbian couples and other couples.
I get to have a lot of fun. I work with singles too. So about 13 years ago, I was about 10, 12 years into my social work career. So I went traditional at first, but I always had a bent where I went, I was always a bent there. I didn't want to be a traditional social worker. When people hear about that, they think, well, she's taking the children away, you know, the foster care system, the adoption system, all that business. I went into an area, I specialized in something called employee assistance program. And this is really like social work in the workplace. And it actually came about, I'm thinking back now, wow, all these memories. AA, everybody know Alcoholics Anonymous, right? It started out with substance abuse programs in the workplace. You know, the drinkers, they couldn't come to work the next day, or when they were at work, they were falling asleep on the machine, you know, and cut their hand off or whatever. But so that was the genesis of employee assistance programs. They are now this huge, big industry. I'm no longer in that industry, but I was attracted to it at first. So it was cutting edge at that time. So I jump into the cutting edge on that. Then I get sick of that, or not sick of it, but just tired. I'm ready to grow again, right? So I say I want to go out into the world and be a therapist and take that experience into the world and really help people in that way. That was around the time when managed care, or quote-unquote also known as mangled care, came along. You probably know about this, Brian, because you're in the money world. So that came to be a thing where that's a whole change as well. So I'm into, you know, I'm on both sides of the fence. I did work in private practice, and I also worked for the managed care companies. So then I turned 40, and, you know, all this stuff sort of shifted where I said, you know, I'm really bored, or I'm next to my next plateau. Where do I grow to next? And at the same time, the internet was coming along, right? This was 1998, 99, whatever. My ex and I, we didn't have a computer at that point. We had a web TV. Anybody remember that? A web TV.
Oh gosh, I think I missed that technology altogether.
So next thing you know, I'm in a coaching school called Coachville, which was founded by a guy who started Coach U, who is Thomas Leonard, who is a gay guy who, by the way, sadly died in his late 40s before he even really totally realized, I think, his dream of what he was trying to do with coaching. But he lit a fire under people. Now there's hundreds of thousands of these people all over the world. We're coaching in every single type of thing, you know, whether it be finances or parenting or, you know, or changing careers. You name it, there's a coach for it. And Thomas even used to always say, not only is everyone needs a coach, he got everybody mad because he was always on the cutting edge. He said, everybody is a coach. No. But
well, I think it's true. You know, I've got my little internet TV show. You've got your radio show. And I guess we all sort of are coaches in our own way. I happen to love YouTube because it gives me, you know, little old Brian Darling in L.A., it gives me access to the world.
We would have never met without the internet. And that's
how we met. That's how we met.
You know, and there's great stories about that. I have lots of them where people write to me years later, and they'll say, you know, I never worked with you as a client, but I read your newsletters, and do you know that helped me leave a marriage where I wasn't happy? And now, you know, I mean, I just, you know, because you don't always hear what happens to people, and it's really cool sometimes. And you're going to hear that, Brian, 10 years from now, somebody from China is going to make your day, you know, and say that you changed their life. So
Brian, you helped me save thousands of dollars, and now I'm sitting in my villa in retirement. You know.
Oh my God, that's the dream. Yeah, I love that. I love that image.
that would probably be the biggest compliment that I could receive, is if somebody called me and said, you know what, your little tips, I listened to those little tips, and over these years I've saved all this money, and now I'm taking a great vacation. And
just going back to the disposable income stuff. We women in the community, we do have different issues. We're very different, like you said. That's why we're trying to figure out each other, because, you know, we've already got the labels and the stereotypes that everybody else believes about us. But are we truly, authentically getting to know each other in our community? And maybe you and I can figure that out, and that would help other people too figure it out.
Well, that's one of the things that I've just always in my mind. I mean, I came out of the closet in 1979. Okay, so I've been involved in the gay community. I was born and raised in Milwaukee, so, you know, in those days, we didn't have computers, we didn't even have cell phones, heck, we didn't even have answering machines. So we were just getting, remember those answering machines when you put the tape in, you had to press the two buttons and all this stuff? Okay, well, if you wanted to meet people, you had to dress up, you had to look nice, and you had to go somewhere. You had to go to a club. You know, we had bars, we had bathhouses, we had bowling leagues in Milwaukee, you know, the bowling capital of the world. Now, a lot of the gay women in Milwaukee were on softball leagues. I remember that softball was a sporting event that brought a lot of women together. And I got to tell you, Barb, I can't really tell you very much about lesbians. And there just seems to be like this invisible line.
So one of the thoughts right away that popped up for me when you said, you know, how are we going to break down these barriers? It's that we got to start somewhere with getting to know each other, you know, on a personal level, which may include our quote-unquote labels if we want to have them. Like me, I don't mind the label lesbian. I was talking to a woman that I interviewed recently on my telesummit, and she's from Australia, and they don't use lesbian there. They feel that is passé. They want to be queer. Now,
Okay.
you know, my lesbian group of women, maybe 40 and up or 45, 50, we don't want to be called queer. I don't like that word.
I'm not a fan of queer either.
Yeah, but it's very popular in Australia. So it's like, how do we set aside these darn labels and just get to know each other as people? And I think that's our answer.
So, but you know, when I go to a gay pride parade, at many gay pride parades, the very first group of people, certainly in the West Hollywood Pride Parade, is an organization called Dykes on Bikes. And these women are in full leather gear, boots, Harleys, you know, the butchest ladies that you'd ever want to see in your life.
At least while they're there in that setting, they might be corporate women during the week, you know?
They might be. And then you could go out for dinner or go out to a club and see other lesbians in evening gowns and 6-inch heels and full makeup and nails and everything. You know, and it's the same with men. Some men like to wear women's clothes. Oh my gosh. They call them drag queens. There's so many different flavors. So do you think because there are so many different flavors among gay men, gay women, we're not even talking about transgendered men and women, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Do you think because there are so many different flavors that creates within the gay community some confusion? I think it does, actually.
I think what's going on is we're all trying to figure out who we are, and that's where you start on that process. I think I would love to be 10 years from now where we don't use these labels at all, and maybe that is the answer. You know, once we're quote-unquote...
I label everyone darlings. That's the universal label. All my darlings out there. I knew there would be a good use for this name at some point in my life. And, you know, if you have to pick a label, just be a darling, okay?
I love that. And, you know, just go forth, and if someone's appealing to you or attracted to you or you're curious by them, just say, hey. I mean, the cool thing is that in our community, we are that quilt. You know, we're all together, and you can, you know, I used to have issues with not understanding certain things about, again, like we said, it's beyond the subject of today, but our transgender brothers and sisters. But when I got to know one or two personally, just like they say about gay people and coming out of the closet and being yourself with the straight world, as soon as I got to know each one of them personally, the labels fell away. You know?
Yeah, isn't that great if you just open up your mind a little bit, just a little bit. You don't have to agree. You really don't even have to understand per se, I don't think. Just open your ears. I think if maybe we shut our mouth a little bit more and opened our ears, I think everybody would be a little bit smarter at the end of the day.
Yeah, here's an idea for all the listeners. Don't worry about the labels. Just go out there, and next week, if you're a lesbian, go out and say hi to a gay guy somewhere. Go up and introduce yourself. Maybe you're in a club. Or
say hi to me.
So, there you go.
So you sort of think it might be a better idea to really take it down to an individual level and look within our own circle of personal friends, identify those people and maybe just kind of make a small effort to connect on an individual level and then
Yeah.
grow it from there? You think that's a good approach?
Yeah, like that's a wonderful idea, you know, to really just not be so taken by what they look like and get to know them inside.
On that note, darlings, Barb, I really want to thank you for chatting with me. Maybe this will be the start of a much larger conversation. So, darlings, send me an email, send Barb an email, ask some questions. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about, and we'll come back again and we'll talk to you. So thanks a lot, darlings. I will see you next time. Until then, we are hitting those high waves of hot topics, LGBT news, and everything else that you want to know about. Thanks a lot for watching.